Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. Today we begin the book of Exodus, and some have called the book of Exodus a picture book. A picture book because, yes, it is historical narrative. It does cover historical events, but it's also jam-packed with pictures of the Christian life. Uh, Even Paul, the Apostle Paul, recognized this in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, where he says, "For I do not want you to be unaware, brethren, that our fathers were all under the cloud and all passed through the sea, and all were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and all ate the same spiritual food, and all drank the same spiritual drink, for they were drinking from a spiritual rock which followed them, and the rock was Christ." And so there the Apostle Paul takes the events that are recorded in the book of Exodus, and he relates it to the Christian experience. And he uses that to go on to make a point of warning that we don't fall into the same traps that they fell into as you continue the narrative, even through the book of Deuteronomy. But nonetheless, this is a picture book. It's a book that shows us pictures of spiritual realities. And as we go through the book of Exodus, we could really look at it as our own story. Yeah, it's a story of Israel and the way that God delivered them and took care of them and brought them into the wilderness to become his people and his habitation. But it's also a story about our own experience through Christ. Major themes in Exodus fit beautifully with the themes of the Christian walk. You have at the beginning of it the story of redemption. God redeeming his people. They had become slaves in Egypt. They had become slaves under the forceful hand of Pharaoh. And God steps in and he buys his people back. He claims them once again to be his own. And he brings the plagues to convince Pharaoh to let the people go. He delivers them from Pharaoh and basically places his ownership back on them again. But it's also a story of separation of the people of God from Egypt. No other picture gives you that. The parting of the Red Sea does, where not only was the Red Sea parted and separated, but Israel and Egypt was separated as well. And God put that sea between his people and that of Egypt, really sealing the deal of claiming them as his own through this process of separation. And you can really see their whole wandering through the wilderness as a process of separation, them being separated unto God, really clearly manifested at Mount Sinai when he makes a covenant with them. But you have separation, the theme of separation there in the book of Exodus. But then you also have the theme of habitation as well. As we get closer to the end of the book of Exodus, we're going to see God desiring a dwelling place among his people. And he's going to give Moses extreme detail in how to construct a tabernacle so that God can dwell with him, with them there in the wilderness. He's going to give them the sacrificial system. He's going to give them the priesthood, purification laws to allow them to know how to approach God and really prepare them to become a people who have Yahweh himself dwelling among them. And so these are major themes that really plug into the meta narrative of the whole Bible. God redeeming people to be his own, separating them from the world, causing them to become his habitation, but then also inviting them into his own habitation to live with him for eternity. These are big themes, and they're all found here in the book of Exodus. And so we should all be excited to get into the book and to read the book, yes, as an account of the history of Israel, but also as our own story, and to relate to it in that way, and to look for these themes as we go through the book and see how they relate to us, to be encouraged where there is encouragement, to be warned where there is warning, and to just kind of navigate through the book in a way that would bring about the most spiritual application to us. And hopefully in these devotions we can help these devotions will help us to direct our minds in that way as well. So let's get into the book of Exodus today, as we also close the book of Genesis, looking ahead to the wonderful things that God has pictured for us in the book and the wonderful lessons that we can learn from it. So with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.